I'm doing with 8. How's it going today, buddy? Hello, Princess. Guess I don't need that up for the moment. Hi, Janice. There were two of me. Are you wishful thinking there, Italian Princess? One's not enough. You want some menage a trois? What's up? Yeah, I know, Uwe. Yeah, no. Oh, now I'm crushed, Princess. Hello, Casey. How you doing?
Rick. Hello, everyone.
How you doing, Rick? It's only been up about a minute or two, Rick.
Hello, Uvi. An Italian princess. How you doing, my dear? Janice. And Casey. How y'all doing?
How's things going there in the hospital, Uwe? Still looking good? Oh, yeah, I would, Uwe. There's going to be all kinds of nuts going on. Well, of course not, Uwe. Well, sweet Caroline, how you doing? They haven't told you, Uwe. What the hell's up with that? MVC, how you doing, buddy? Oh, I'm hanging in there. I figured I'd wait for a few people to get here to broach this subject I want to talk about. I'm sure everybody's well aware of it already. Maybe. I don't know. With everything we got going on, it's hard to keep track of everything. I mean, I'm sure it's not the only one I'll touch, but this one right here, to me, just I don't think people quite understand how bad this of an idea this really is. The San Francisco, they're allowing them now to use robots for law enforcement. Martha, how you doing, sweetie? So, whether they're controlled by a person or autonomous makes no difference because it takes the person out of the situation, and that is a very, very bad thing. I mean, people think logically, yeah, oh, that makes sense. You just send a robot in and stuff like that. Well, yeah, for bomb disposal and stuff like that, for sure. That's where it starts. Now they want to have weapons on them.
No.
Well, I shouldn't say they want to. They are. They passed it. They're going to put weapons on them. And the next step to that is autonomous. As anybody knows that your toaster does one thing, and it toasts your toasts your bread. Well, RoboCops wouldn't be even a good analogy there, MVC, because they made them out to be, someone animated like a human would be, even though it didn't look all that great in the movies and stuff, but it still comes down to that even the crudest of ones, in my opinion, are far scarier than anything you'll see in the movies. Reason being is they don't think. And the way they're portrayed in movies is they do. Well, no, they don't. And they're showing, all land-based robots like Boston Dynamics little dog robot with a gun mounted on it and things like that. But what they don't touch upon, which people should think about, is miniature drones and things like that. And a robot's not a human. They have more patience than any human can be, and they could sit there and wait forever. Well, arguably forever. And they're only going to do what they're programmed to do. How you doing, Zero? No, actually, Martha, they won't learn from human behavior because they can't think like a human. When somebody made, I forget who made Uwe, said no mercy. And that's correct. There is no mercy because there is no empathy or feeling in a robot. They don't think about things. They just do what they're programmed to do. And usually far lethaler than any human can be. And it's like, I don't know how many people have got computers that screw up from time to time or very often. But would you really want to take and have your kids or grandkids or something walking through a parking lot being overseen by robots that are armed? If the whole drone thing, which are not robots, they were controlled by humans, and they would take out a whole damn wedding parade just for one or two people. They give two shits about collateral damages. That's what we're going to come to over here now too. We're going to relegate to, oh, well, they were in the building with them. Too bad. Is that what we're going to do? And the other thing is a robot has no way to determine intent. Your intent or anybody else's intent. It's either programmed to be preemptive or reactive. And robots or programs cannot recognize human interactions. Let's say you have somebody using sarcasm and they're talking back and forth, arguing with people or something, and say something like, I'm going to shoot you. And the next thing you know, you got a robot over there getting into the end of your life. Oh, absolutely, Martha. You're going to see a lot more and more of that. Hey, Cindy D, good to see you. But there's a huge difference between robots packing peanuts, or almonds in that case, and deciding whether or not someone's going to live or die because the weapon's mounted on them. I see that and I'm thinking to myself, how can anybody think that's a good idea? Is that where we're going to come to now? Is yeah, that'll change in the future, though, Martha. You can bet on that. You know, the next thing is, no, I don't think so, Martha. The next question is, who's responsible if they screw up? Or is it going to be kind of like it is now, where they're immune to, like the old jib jabbers are immune to prosecution and lawsuits? Is that what we're going to have? I mean, I don't know if people are familiar with some of the ideas that other people have had. But there's off the shelf technology right now with drones and stuff that you wouldn't even know it's coming. Well, kind of like, the Reaper drone. Same thing over in the Middle East with the Reaper drones. Well, what is a law to a robot, Mike? Yeah, exactly, Rick. They're normalizing it. Now they want to put it on the streets, and who knows where else. And unlike the normal law enforcement, as we would think, one guy could run, a dozen different robots if they're even running them. I'm sure that's their next step, is they want them autonomous, where they don't have to have a human being in the picture. Well, you ain't wrong there, Martha. You're not wrong there. And as far as I know, the board in San Francisco, they're pretty much unanimously voted in and said, sure, great idea. That's a great idea. How's a robot to determine a hostage situation? How's a robot to determine whether a situation is even illegal? It can only do what it's programmed. And how can they determine when lethal force and non-lethal force are acceptable? This is not like a self-driving car or a self-driving truck. You're talking about them wanting to put robots on the streets and sidewalks that can take your fucking life away. And boy, we know computers, they don't fuck up at all. They never screw up. That never happens.
They don't crash. They don't get bugs or nothing.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. Well, that's the thing, though. NBC is the you're talking about just a couple individuals. I mean, it makes Terminator movies look like fantasy, which they actually are, because we're a long ways off before we'll see anything like Terminator. But what we will see is dumb robots um, making dumb decisions, if they're even making decisions. That's what I'd like to know. Is even from somebody I've programmed a little bit, so I can't say that I'm not without experience. I understand logic, but how does a robot deal with an illogical situation or an illogical person? Oh well, just shoot them, bang, dead. See you later. Or you got a little kid running up with a plastic toy gun, or something that looks like a gun. Then what? I'm pretty sure they're not going to have them just handing out parking tickets and jaywalkers. How you doing, Aussie Aussie? And then what? Well, they say, "Oops, well, we shot your 5-year-old because he had a stick out there playing cops and robbers or something." You know, I'm doing okay. Exactly, sweet Caroline. No accountability. That's one thing they never talked about either, was accountability. Who pays when they inevitably screw up? And we all know that's going to happen. And I myself personally, I don't want one of those goddamn things around me at all. It's not like where they're walking around a department store and they got a robot running around, for informational purposes or anything. Um, where you scan your product or it tells you about sales or something. And it's not the things that they're intended for. It's the things that they're not intended for that bugs me the most. I can think of far, far, far more things that those will be used for than what they're intended for. Got a homeless problem? Okay, well, just send in some robots. We'll take care of it. To me, that's just nuts. And I don't understand how people can walk around with their head in the sand and up, to put it nicely, because frankly, I'd say up their ass so far they can't smell their own shit. That they just want this stuff. It's like, govern me harder, Daddy, govern me harder. Let's see how absurd and stupid we can get. Well, I don't think it's the scientists that are inherently desperate for any of that stuff, Martha. It's corporations and government officials and stuff that want to figure out ways they can stuff more money in their pockets. If they ain't got to pay a police officer, and they don't have to carry insurance for life insurance or anything like that, the worst thing they're going to have is a damn robot that might get shot up a little bit or run over by a car or something. How you doing, Casey? Good to see you too, buddy. That's just nuts. For what percentage of society are we talking about criminally? Most people aren't criminals. Most. How you doing, Great Bill? Good to see you. There was a proposal back when they started to first using drones about taking humans out of the loop. And that was actually voted down by the Congress because at least still had some congressmen with some common sense, because they understood that programs don't make decisions based off human emotions or empathy or anything like that. They base it off programming. So like I said, you get some kid running down the street with a stick in his hand, and the robot determines, oh, that's a gun, tells him to stop. The kid doesn't understand to stop, and they shoots the damn kid. And right now they're just calling up, well, if we have bomb squads go in or somebody tries to attack them, we've got shotgun rounds on the robots and stuff. Yeah, sure, that's where they'll stop, right? They've already got robots running around in parking lots. It's amazing. People watch a movie and they have this misconception they're all like Data off Star Trek or something. And frankly, if we had a robot like Data off Star Trek, I'd be scared shitless. The next thought is, what recourse do you have? How do you tell a robot, hey, you're wrong, before it puts a hole in you? By the way, anybody wants to jump up and talk about this, by all means, hop on. You look at the convoy in Canada. How you doing, Tyson? Where you had at least people, law enforcement up there. And look how that got. You look at how things in the past, how things got. Now imagine that not being people and being robots. And all they need to do is misinterpret one situation. And people say, oh, they'd never do that. The hell they wouldn't. If the last few years hasn't taught people that politicians will grab whatever power they can grab and use it, then you ain't been paying attention. Because they most certainly will. I mean, there's a parody on YouTube called Killer Drones. And the thing of it is, what's shown in that parody is very much possible today with just off the shelf stuff. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. Yeah, exactly, Rick. The recourse will be the computer says no. Yeah, sure. And the other aspects of that are they can be equipped with things that are well beyond human capability, as far as visual and auditorial and all those things. With infrared, I mean, you can literally look through walls. Um, unless there's glass in front, they can't see through that with infrared, but then they don't need it because then they got regular optics. I can just see a robot dealing with a drunk guy coming out of the bar. Oh, yeah, that'll turn out great. Drunk guy or girl, I should say. I got to be politically correct now because we're all allowed to be stupid. Some more than others, it seems. How are they going to handle, say, a kidnapping situation? How's a robot dictate that? Or domestic violence? How does it determine that? It just floors me that these people vote that stuff in and think, hey, it's great. Well, wait a minute here. What exactly are we talking about? Where has any of this stuff been field tested and proven? Oh, wait a minute. We don't field test or prove stuff anymore. We follow the science. That's what it is. See, I'm screwing up already. That's what it is. That's what's wrong. I'm just not looking at it right. You test it while you put it out live. That's how you do it. Who cares about the ramifications after the fact? We don't need to make sure the shit's supposed to do what it's supposed to do. We'll check it after the fact. There you go. That's a hell of a way to run society. We can run like Windows did when they started out. That'd be great. Then if something screw up, they can just pump updates into them and they'll be good to go. That never screws nothing up either. What does it matter if all of a sudden it starts targeting every green vehicle on the street. That's okay. We'll fix it. We'll get an update. No problem. Absolutely nuts. Guess I've not seen that before, Rick. Um, Coconut oil for pulling teeth. That's a new one on me. I think I'll pass. Thank you very much. Well, welcome back, Princess. There's another one. How many police officers shoot people's pets because they misinterpret what the pets are doing? How does a robot determine that? And truthfully, what's a dog going to do to a robot anyway? Seriously. Chew on its wheels? If it has wheels. How you doing, Michael? Oh boy. How you doing, Dice? I mean, seriously, these politicians voted in. How many people in here think that having robots for law enforcement is a good idea? Thanks, Rick. Is there anybody in here that thinks that's a good idea? What I'm speaking of is Aussie Aussie, and in San Francisco, they're going to allow them to be armed. I don't know about that, Ian. And I don't know, Michael, what you're saying. I agree with you, but you're under the assumption that you're actually going to be able to get that close to them. Are they going to be programmed for self-preservation over society? Most likely. That's the thing. As I said, they can only make the decisions that they're programmed for. Um, and human interactions are far more complicated than any robot, in my opinion, is prepared to be able to do. I mean, think about in a domestic situation where a man or woman's walking out the door with a baby in their hands. Whether they're right or wrong, is that robot going to recognize what's going on there?
You got all kinds of people there, huh? Just be 18.
Yeah, there's a link for California bill for armed robots in law enforcement. Rick just posted it. Well, and then there's the there's the other thing, Ian. What's to stop them from getting hacked? I mean, it's not like Iran busted into one of our encrypted systems and managed to bring a drone down into Iran. Not one of the Predator drones, but one of the high end ones that nobody's supposed to know about. I mean, I forget what country it is, but they're actually using computer programs to decide whether somebody's guilty or not of a crime. It's like, okay, are you nuts? It's all the other baloney we got going on in the world. Um, this is just what we need on top of it. And I'm sure once they get that test piloted and they say, oh, well, that's great. We'll have robotic soldiers too. The difference is a robotic soldier you'll see will make the movie's Terminator look like preschool, child's play. Thing is, Big D, they wouldn't put it in the news. Just like they don't put half the crap now in the news, or any of it for that matter. It isn't like Terminator or iRobot or any of that stuff. We don't have robots like that think. They might mimic certain human traits, but they don't think. Yeah, you ain't wrong there, sweet Caroline. You ain't wrong there. That's like with any country at the moment. Um, I can definitely see just as soon as Trudeau sees this going on down there, his old wheels are going to be turning. Then they charge you with using biological weapons there, Dice. How you doing, Melissa? Good to see you. Well, if it's a robot, Dice, you're screwed because they ain't going to care. Though, if you ever do that, Dice, make sure you videotape it that because I don't see that because I'm going to giggle my ass off. By the way, Mel, I hope you're doing good. I hope everything's worked out for you. Well, there's the rub now, ain't it, Rick? Well, your bank details, we're sorry. Um, Somebody hacked our system, so they now have all your shit. Okay. Bye bye now. Right, great. Just what I want. A lot of that stuff can be hardened against that stuff, Ian. It really isn't too tough to harden against that. It's whether or not they want to spend the money to do it. That's the difference. Um, yeah, yeah. And there's no such thing as a handheld EMP at this moment. At least none that could be effective against anything like that. It's like people talking about, well, just jam the radio waves or do whatever. Well, yeah, that's fine until they have a program to run on their own and do their own thing. I mean, they already do that with the Mars landers. Um, they're not in control of those real time. Yep, talking about robots there, Melissa. San Francisco they voted in to allow robots to be used for law enforcement. Armed robots. Yep, Ian, because of ungrounded wires and stuff. It overjuiced the system. Yeah, Michael, I'm thinking it won't quite work that way, guy. Yeah, what you're talking about there, Ian, is the Carrington event.
Pretty glad to get that opened and
They I can't remember where it was at, but it was like, oh God, 5, 10 years ago, maybe not that long, where they had robots running around parking lots, and they were supposed to uh, monitor parking lots and stuff, and so they wouldn't need as many officers, going around parking lots and checking stuff. Yeah, that worked out great. Oh yeah, Melissa. 15-minute cities. You're supposed to be able to do anything that you need to do within 15 minutes of your house. And you're only going to be allowed outside that zone so many times a year. And more, if you go out beyond that, they'll charge you for it, fine you for it. And if you do it too much, they'll put you in jail for it. And no, that's not a joke. They're doing it in Oxford, in England. They want to run a test pilot in Houston, Texas. I want to see how that goes. Yep, they call it the 15-minute city. Which, if everybody like me lives out in the country, that tells me that they're going to try to force people from living out in rural areas. You'll have to live in a suburb or a city. Of course, then you have your drones flying over and your robot overlords checking all your QR codes on the roof of your vehicles like they do in China. They think that's such a great thing. I guess it don't make any difference if you have family that live out beyond that, but you're not supposed to have families anymore. Yeah, nice. Yeah, I think I'll pass. Thank you very much. And the thing is, people, you can go right on to the websites of these organizations and read all the paperwork. It tells you exactly what they're going to do and how they're going to do it. The a few other things that people aren't thinking about when it comes to the stuff that they're trying to implement. Like with the farmers, and they're saying, well, we're going to buy, the government's going to buy them out and pay them a fair price for their land and stuff like that. And there's a lot of people think that's okay. What they don't understand is that's a business. It isn't just a one-time thing. But try to get that through some dumbass's head. And the next token, since when should the government be able to dictate farming? Which I can tell you right now that with what they were doing up here, piloting stuff where tractors were driving themselves and harvesters and all that stuff, they're at the point now where they're going to take the farmer out of the picture. It'll be controlled by just a few people who work for the government. It'll all be automated. They might have mechanics that come in and out and fix stuff that needs to be fixed, and that's going to be it. Shove everybody into the little micro cities. And I hate to sound like a conspiracy theorist, but several of them have let slip about the whole population control. They want to reduce it by at least 50%, and then more after that. Gee, I wonder how that could be accomplished. Huh. New mysterious diseases. We've never seen that like that lately, have we? Yeah, even 10 years ago, Big Dice, um, I used to drive for farmers in the fall during harvest because they couldn't get enough drivers. Um, and the tractors would literally drive themselves to the fields doing the whatever needed to be done. just running off GPS, and monitoring systems and all that stuff. So unless something broke or went down, um, the only thing the farmer was sitting in the cab for is just to make sure that everything was going the way it was supposed to. Um, and they were pretty good. They didn't have problems very often, but they did have problems. So how far that's transpired since then, who knows? I don't know. As far as the enforcement and weaponry ones, I do know the military was test piloting. Uh, they had quad runners that were used for spying and everything, and they tried to get those armed. I don't know whether that ever went through or not, but they weren't having a lot of luck. We at least had some people in Congress that still had a brain back then. Nowadays, I think it'd go through no problem. In fact, I'd almost bet it'd go through no problem. People must be watching those videos. Oh, give me a chance to stand up. Yeah, I don't feel bad, Tanny Princess. I got mine wants to play fetch every 10 minutes. And I'm assuming there's a few people watching those videos about with the 15-minute cities and stuff that the WEF wants to implement. I guess the thing I'd like to point out is that won't work with our current uh, infrastructure and the size of our cities and stuff. It can't work unless they put everybody in high rises like they do in Japan, and you sleep in little cubicles and use shared showers and shit like that, where they have common rooms. Which I could see them trying to do that for sure. Absolutely, I could see them trying to do that. And you won't have to worry about puppies because you won't have no pets. Yeah, exactly, Melissa. Yep. And think about how are they going to implement that with the current infrastructure, the way people live and work and all that stuff. That's out of necessity, though, Princess. That's not because they have a choice. Um, it just works out better for them that way. The only bad thing is they have a single point of failure too. One fire and they're all screwed. That's like them saying there's going to be electric vehicles only by 2030. Uh huh. Yeah, right. Sure, there will. Actually, Melissa, it's not. It's not crumbling down on them because they're still moving forward with these things. It's still happening. Um, I'll give you for example. You look at everything that's come out about CV-19, and when they first told you, well, it'll stop transmission. Then, well, no, don't stop transmission. Keep you from getting sick. Well, it doesn't do that. Well, then, well, no, it'll keep you from getting as much as sick. Well, no, no. Well, the more you get, the more sick you get. Well, no, no, no. But yet they're still pushing it in all these countries, and they want to give it to little babies and kids. Well, here's the thing, Melissa. They didn't really care what people like or not anymore. I mean, think about this. They were willing to put people into essentially uh, quarantine camps, i.e., jail, in my opinion. I don't care if they got an apartment or not, it's still jail. Um, for something that doesn't affect a large part of the population. And for most people, it's no worse than a common cold, if that. Yeah, exactly, Big Dice. Well, they just say it won't meet emission guidelines, so you can't drive it anymore. That's exactly what they'll do. And if you can't buy fuel for it or parts for it, guess what? Well, I agree, Melissa, but they're still pushing it. I mean, here in the States, there's court cases going on all over the place over this stuff. Um, And they have a lot more things going on behind the scenes as well that most people aren't seeing happening. It's like I said, if people were to go look at their websites and read their papers to see what their idea of what society is going to look like in the short term and long term future, yeah. Yeah, exactly, Melissa. And they don't have to gain everything all at once. One little bit at a time, one little bit at a time, and they'll just keep pushing. It's like a laws that get shot down. What do? They change name and run it through the next time under a different name. Sooner or later, they get it through when people aren't paying attention. And it seems like now, even if people are paying attention, the politicians don't give a shit what people think anyway. Oh, for sure, big dice. Well, they have to, because all the fiat currencies and paper currencies, they've been printing money willy nilly for the past 2.5, 3 years. They're going to have to bring out another currency because all the other currencies are going to crash. And then they'll have what they call a jubilee, just like they did when they changed currencies here in the States. They'll let all these big corporations and all that stuff get away with not paying back debts and loans and all that stuff, and nobody will know the difference. How you doing, Tracy? Hope you're doing good. Well, I agree, Tracy, but we are in for a long haul for sure. And they mix stuff up so much with other things that most people can't differentiate between what's true and what's not. I don't know about that, big dice. You got to remember these countries play hopscotch with their currency so they can control uh, currency values. It really is meaningless. Yep, and I agree with you on that one, Tracy. I'll agree with you. Um, the thing of it is a lot of places we've lost control of our own legislators. Well, they can loan it out 9 times according to law, but might I remind you back in 2008 and 9 when the housing crisis happened, they were leveraged out 57 to 1. For every dollar they had brought in, they were loaning out 57. That's why they had to bail all these big corporations and banks out. But they screwed the little people. They took their properties and their houses and everything. And so the banks got the properties and got paid off by the government, while the person they took their house from turned around and had to pay taxes to pay for the banks. Talk about getting screwed. He's just one of many, Tracy. He just happens to be the one with the biggest mouth at the moment. It's nuts. And I guarantee you there's people involved who nobody's even heard about, don't even know their name. And you can bet on that one. You can absolutely bet on that one. Hi, Wanda. Good to see you. All right, you take care, Melissa. Drop the link to the Aussie channel if you would. What they got going on down there today, Melissa? Yeah, I am too, Uwe. If I'm not running something, I'll jump on there once in a while. I got you. Okay, Melissa. I just didn't know if they had anything different going on. I'm not sure what you're saying there, Dice. Oh, gotcha. Okay. Gotcha. Now I understand what you're saying. How you doing, Gerald? Good to see you. Well, truthfully, Dice, that shouldn't shock anybody. That was there were so many instances in that was just an absolute joke. It wasn't funny, and that was they're not going to say or do anything until February anyway. So frankly, I don't understand why any of that's relevant. They didn't meet the criteria to do what they did anyway. The thing I couldn't stand is when Trudeau was testifying, the smirk on his face. Oh man. Well, it's better to be on those than to take a chance. That's for sure. Yeah, Gerald, he needs a couple good backhands, in my opinion. Knock that smirk right off his face. Everybody talks about things that need to be done and what we need to do. Another thing that I thought about is we've got to get back control of our media. Um, these news organizations all are owned by 6 different people, all of them, across all our countries, across the world, or they're owned by the governments. Um, we absolutely have to get back control of those, so they're actually uh, giving information to people and not opinion or propaganda in a lot of cases. They either need to be taken over or they need to be put out of business, one of the two. I don't know about that, Gerald. I don't know about that. Um, they make their monies and shit through advertisers and stuff. When it comes to the point to where they have nobody watching the crap, then the advertisers are going to say, "Hey, wait a minute, we aren't making anything off you guys." So maybe we need to go back to the earlier days where they had pirate radio and stuff. We had guys going around doing broadcasting their local area and shit. Um, Not that I don't think they'd try to shut that down, but that might be a better route to go. Um, yeah, and that's what I'm getting at, Gerald. Most of them, truthfully, would have probably already went under if they weren't owned by billionaires. They don't really care if they lose money in that because they make more of it back off the backs of interest and usury from the people. You can't listen to the police department scanner anymore? How the hell does that work? Well, what about the people that already have scanners? I mean, I can't say it surprised me one bit in the least if they'd make it illegal to do that. All digital encryption, yeah. I'm surprised they haven't done that long ago, to tell you the truth. Um, yep. As I said, I'm surprised they haven't done that long ago. All full of Chinese spyware. Yeah, imagine that, Dice. Yeah, that doesn't surprise me in the least. Um, it's like when they're using all these routers and stuff, made over there. Then they were finding out the chips and stuff had back end processes. And one sec. As I was saying, they were finding out all these gateway routers and stuff. Chinese chips in them had back doors and stuff, but they don't seem to give a shit. The people have it. Because they'll use it just as well as the other ones will use it. And they could stop all that shit in a heartbeat, but they won't. Because then they'd be giving up their hand. It's like when Edward Snowden put out the stuff that he did, and all these people, I don't understand how anybody could have not been for what he did. Did it make any difference? Nope, none. He might as well just kept on doing his job and collecting his $250,000 a year. Lived out his life in Hawaii. Oh, you can bet on that, Dice. You can bet on that. As I said, these corporation stuff, they don't have any allegiance to any one country. That's why they're trying to use organizations outside of any one country, like the WEF or the WHO or I'd say the UN, but the UN is useless unless they want to use it as a military thing. But good luck with that. They don't want to have people to have allegiances to any country. They want to get rid of sovereign nations. That where they can go and do as they please as they will. But I think I told my piece, so I think I'm probably going to shut this down for a while. I'll get myself some dinner, and maybe I'll fire back up later on a different topic or something. I just think this is something people need to think about, because if they're doing it there, they're just as soon as they can see it goes through there, they're going to do it everywhere. Hard to believe. Hard to believe. All right, people, I will talk to you later. And if you want, go over and show them some love over there in Australia. The Canberra, I believe that's how they say it. They definitely could use the support for sure. Take care, all, and everybody have a good evening. I will talk to you later. And we're out of here in 3, 2, 1. Later, everybody.